So you heard of Spice Bomb, Savage, and 1 million, but you probably haven't heard of Belief, Savagery, or 1 billion. Today, I'm trying the most outrageous knockoff fragrances in the world, and we're gonna see if any of them are better than the original. First up, from Viktor & Rolf, we have Spice Bomb, and this is one of the most explosive fragrances in the game. It's warm, it's cozy, it has good longevity, and nearly 10 flankers, so it's definitely crowd pleasing. But what about Belief? You can see exactly how they drew inspiration from the iconic Spice Bomb bottle, but that they also draw inspiration from the scent. This is not bad, but it's also far fresher than what you would get in Spice Bomb. Now listen, Belief isn't making me a believer. While Spice Bomb is more like The Rock, Belief is like Justin Bieber. Sorry, but this one's not advancing. This is Dior Savage Eau de Parfum, and it's often regarded as the superior fragrance when compared to the original Savage. Now, despite the hate the Dior Savage lineup gets, it's still super strong. I mean, look, it's simple. This fragrance is potent, it has that fresh, last all day feel, and it does wonders when it comes to compliments. But this is Savagery Pour Homme Eau de Parfum, and it's a blatant copy of Dior Savage, and that in itself is a bit savage. It's like the baby version of Savage. If you spray this fragrance expecting it to smell like Dior Savage, you will be sadly mistaken, but I'm also slightly disgusted. In fact, I'm very disgusted because it looks like little floating men are floating around in this bottle. If you know what I mean. It really looks like someone just took a bunch of skin particles, put them inside the bottle, and shook it up. It almost looks like a snow globe. But I smell this again for the gang. There's nothing else you need to know about this fragrance. Savagery is F tier for sure. If you're into fragrance, at some point you have either owned or you still own a bottle of 1 million. It made a name for itself early on when it was released for being a fragrance that was high powered, it was a compliment magnet, and also a fragrance that you could get for a fairly affordable price point. And even today, it still holds on to that legacy. It's sweet, it's attention grabbing, and still mass appealing. But who would ever take 1 million when you could obviously have 1 billion? With the change of just one letter, this becomes 1,000 times better, but let's see if the fragrance does the same. This one does smell good so far. This is not bad. It's sweet, it's woody, and if you sprayed enough of this, I feel like it could garner some attention. It also feels like it has a slight coconut aspect to it, and although it's not better than 1 million, I'm gonna put 1 billion in the winners column. If any knockoff fragrance is better than the original, then it'll take its spot on the throne and advance to the final round where I'll declare the best knockoff fragrance in the universe. But I bet you can't guess what fragrance actually wins. I've collected some of the most iconic designer fragrances on the market, and I also collected their knockoffs. Next, we're moving into the niche fragrances. Today, we're talking about some of the more unique, crowd-pleasing, attention-grabbing niche fragrances and their knockoff counterparts. And moving into this second category, so far, we only got one fragrance moving into our championship rounds. And our first round draft pick for our niche fragrance round goes to Creed's Silver Mountain Water. I don't know how else to say this, but I love this fragrance. This was my first niche fragrance, my first fragrance from the house of Creed, and truly the first fragrance to show me the power of smelling amazing. This fragrance is also a home wrecker, and they don't call it Mr. Steal Your Wife for nothing. I think I'm the only person that calls it that, but you know what I mean. Overall, it's an incredibly unique scent and one of the most complimented fragrances from the house of Creed. But this is Silver Bundland, and as you can see, it's a clear knockoff of Silver Mountain Water. They even went with the retro 120 ml bottles. This is making a strong attempt to be Silver Mountain Water in the best way a $7 fragrance could. It feels like it has little mandarin at the top and maybe just a smidge of tea. Honestly, this fragrance is a lot more pleasant than I remember it being, and for what you get, I would say this fragrance is fairly decent. Now, clearly, it's no match to dethrone the porcelain god, but it can move into our winner circle. Moving on, we have an incredible warm weather fragrance, and this one is none other than Dior's Oud Overdose. If you like Bon Numénor's Lafayette Street, then you're gonna love this. It's classy, it's amazing for the office, and it really showcases what the Dior brand is really all about. But this, well, this is Viking Gold, and something tells me we won't have the same experience that we get with Oud Overdose. No, this does not smell like Oud Overdose, but this also isn't a horrible scent. Despite having more gold on this bottle than Trinidad James, this one's a blue scent. It's citrus, it's woody, and it's more along the lines of Bleu de Chanel than Oud Overdose, and for that, I'm not advancing it forward. Our next one is a 2025 fragrance release, and this one is Ammoage Purpose 50. Look, I wore this one the other day, and let me tell you, the performance on this fragrance is crazy. Like really, this stuff lasts forever. So to me, you're really getting your money's worth. But it also comes with a $500 price point. It's a spicy aromatic scent with this fresh bergamot open. It's fiery, it's sophisticated, and this one is extremely powerful. Hold on, let me get a redo. There we go. And the fragrance it's going up against is another Viking cologne, and this one is Viking Colo New. To me, it only made sense to put two new fragrances head to head because, well, they're both new. Now, Viking Colo is baby-like compared to Purpose 50, but let's see if the fragrance is big dog status. Guess here's another twisty. There we go. Yeah. This smells like a can of paint. Not great. Not good at all. It's not competing. Nothing more to say about that one. Purpose 50 is clearly in the lead. Now moving on, we have one of my favorite fragrances from the house of Prada, and this one is Prada Lunar Rosa Extreme. Unfortunately, this fragrance has been discontinued, and some of you will never have the opportunity to experience it as it was originally released. This fragrance was perfect for those cooler weather days in the fall and winter, and this was also a fragrance that I would often go to for rainy days. It's a spicy, fresh fragrance without being too sweet, although I do enjoy sweet fragrances and wouldn't have mind if they made it a tad bit sweeter. The crazy part is that if you weren't really into fragrances, the knockoff might have caught you slipping. The bottle, well, it just says black, and since Prada has a fragrance called Prada Lunar Rosa Black and the presentation looks pretty similar, you might have just thought it's the same thing. Now, clearly, when you go side by side, there's differences in terms of the height, in terms of the width, in terms of the red strip, because this one's dull, this one's vibrant, and this one says black, while this one says Prada. So if you're looking at them, don't get got. This is not, it's not a bad scent. It clearly cannot compete with this one, but it's not bad. This one has a slight bit of spice. It's warm, shows up as a unisex scent versus this one being masculine. And it's less powdery than you would expect of something like this. Now, clearly quality's totally different, but this is not one that I would completely write off. If you had it, you could probably wear it to the gym or something and just get away with it. It's not special. For now, we'll put it up as a contender and see what happens next. Now, this next one is a knockoff if I've ever seen one. From Margiela, we have When the Rain Stops, and from Holiday Roman, we also have When the Rain Stops. Now, Margiela is known for replicating points in time, while Holiday Roman is known for poorly replicating Margiela fragrances. Now, yes, there's some similarities in terms of the presentation, but there's some glaring differences when you look at these side by side. This When the Rain Stops is this clear but darker fragrance, almost like rain falling from the sky. While this When the Rain Stops looks like Margiela's Sailing Day. It's like a clear blue ocean. This When the Rain Stops, it's moody, it's aquatic, it's fresh, but it also packs this extra punch. But this, When the Rain Stops, is light. It's aquatic, but not put together well. From the presentation, you can clearly see where they were trying to go with this one, but it doesn't hold a candle to what's going on here. And honestly, smelling them side by side, I forgot just how good When the Rain Stops actually is. Now, the names are both When the Rain Stops. The place of origin is both Dublin 1967, and the fragrance description is fresh rain and sun rays on both. But when I look at this, the original takes the cake. This next fragrance is Valentino Wo Intense. The original here has this dark, moody bottle. The font here is intentional, and even the atomizer just feels good in your hands. Look at that. Look, chances are if you're into fragrances, then you've likely heard of Valentino Wo Intense, but have you ever heard of Night Courageous? When I think of Valentino, I think of that seductive approach they take with men's fragrances. But is Night Courageous have that same sex appeal? It definitely doesn't spray as strong. This one's like attempting to be a spicy leather. In terms of the fragrances that we've sprayed so far, this one is better than most. But can it compete with Valentino Wo Intense? I think not. However, in the spirit of competition, I'll move this one forward. Our final fragrance before we move into our championship round is called Invincible, and it's trying its best to be a carbon copy of Rabanne's Invictus. I mean, if you look at the bottles, if you weren't paying attention, it would be easy to confuse them. Now, Invictus is known to be the fragrance of champions, but will it win in this head-to-head battle? When we think about what makes Invictus special, it tends to win in the compliment department. It also tends to win for performance and being a fragrance that really smells good while balancing fresh and sweet. But Invincible, it's not known for anything. It's very different. You take the top off here. This one, you spray right there. It's really close to Invictus. Look, this is a good smelling fragrance, but based on how my nose and my throat feel right now, is probably not the best for you. It's sweet. It has that bubblegum feel that you would find in Invictus. And if it had less coffin, you will probably be along the same lines. Now look, I'll have to stay true and move Invincible forward, but when it comes to that #1 fragrance, everything comes into play. In front of me are 5 knockoff fragrances that I've determined to be some of the best in the universe. But what really matters is which will be crowned the #1 knockoff fragrance. When compared to the others, black just doesn't cut it. And Night Courageous just doesn't bring the sex appeal. Invincible almost killed me, so I would say proceed with caution, and for that, it can't be #1. So that leaves us with 1 billion in Silver Bundland. The way I see it, all things considered, looking at presentation, smell factor, and longevity on these test strips, I'm naming Silver Bundland the #1 knockoff in the entire world. If you enjoyed this video, then click here for another one that's even better.